Good morning, happy walkie-talkie, video, podcast, etc. Welcome to the Stronger Than You Think podcast. Man, if you're here, I know you're trying to figure out how you're stronger than you think. I know that you are someone who is looking to improve themselves, is looking to find strength within instead of looking outside. And I just wanted to share a handful of thoughts today because I was thinking about the holidays. So today is Monday before Thanksgiving, and then a month away from Christmas. And I wanted to talk to you about your why. Now, immediately it's easy to jump to a conclusion. Well, because I want everybody to be happy, and because I love my family, and because I love my friends. Like all of a sudden, that's like your immediate knee-jerk reaction. Why, right? So this is why you listen to me, because I'm gonna call BS. Not that you don't love your family, not that you don't care, not that you don't want everybody else to be happy. What I'm calling BS on is your actual why. What is your for reals why? I know this is about to get real uncomfortable. So if you don't like being uncomfortable, you should probably not listen to the rest of this. Send this to somebody else. Let them do the difficult work. Let them do the heavy lifting and all that stuff, okay? Don't listen. I'm warning you now. If you don't want to feel uncomfortable, then stop listening. Stop watching. And then if you're like, wait, now I'm totally intrigued, then fantastic. Let's get intrigued. So here's the thing. Your why is the reason that you for reals do something. Well, what does that mean, Sarah? My why is I make Thanksgiving dinner so that we can enjoy being together as a family. So let's sort of unpack that a little bit, okay? So what I call the BS, just so you know. If, let's say that's obviously, that's for Tash and Adam, obviously, right? Let's say that is your reason. Your reason is making Thanksgiving dinner so everybody can enjoy being together. If that truly was your reason, having people show up at your house to eat the dinner would be enough. You would be fulfilled. That's it. It would be enough. You wouldn't be frustrated if things weren't perfect. You wouldn't worry if people fought. You wouldn't care who sat where. You wouldn't even be bothered by the conversation. If truly all it was, your why, is to gather people together. That's annoying, right? So then think about perhaps why you do things, and then this is where it gets uncomfortable. Start thinking about what happens inside of your body before people come. The thoughts that you have, the concerns. Are you worried about what your house looks like? Does it have to be spotless? Do the kids have to look perfect? Does your husband have to look perfect? Yes, I'm mostly talking to the ladies. Men, if you're the cookers, does your wife, does your partner, does your family, does your house, everything have to be perfect? How's the grass? How's the lights outside? How are the windows? Does everything have to be perfect? Here comes my friends. Occasionally on my walk, I see my friends, Ted and Jim. They're behind me. They ride bikes. So I had to pause really quick and say hi to them. They're fantastic. So if those are the things you're worried about, and yet you say your why is to get people together, then those two really kind of aren't related. If you just love people and you're excited to have them, then that should be enough. But often it isn't. So then why isn't it enough? Well, our why is probably something different. And it's okay to be honest about your why. If your why is to show off your new home, is to have your life appear perfect, if it's to make sure everybody knows that you've got it all together, then it makes sense, right? It makes sense why, if all of those things aren't done, then your why, your reason is not being fulfilled. So I challenge you to look deeper for what your why really, truly is. Why do you put all of this stress and pressure on yourself? Does it mean if you do if you have a perfect Christmas, if you have all the presents under the tree, if everything turns out just right, does that mean that you're a good mom or a good dad or a good grandma or grandpa? Is that what it means? Is that the why, is to make sure that you are the best you can be? And does the best mean lots of presents? Does the best mean no fighting? That's what it means for me. For me, being a great mom means my children never fight. I realized that recently, and I was like, well, that's not even realistic. It doesn't even make any sense. Literally last night, we were giving our kids a compliment, and probably before we even finished giving our kids a compliment, they were like fighting and doing the exact thing we were thanking them for not doing. It was hilarious. So immediately we were like, well, I guess we don't give you guys compliments anymore. Well, what was our why? What was our why? Was our why to make them feel good and to let them know they were loved? Or was our why to pat ourselves on the back saying, see how good parents we are because you guys did X, Y, and Z? It's fascinating when we look truly and honestly at our why. We don't often do it because it can get uncomfortable. Maybe you grew up without hardly any money and you've worked really, really hard to get a lot of money. And so you're able to provide really cool Christmas presents. You're able to provide a really fun atmosphere that you always wanted it as a kid. Therefore, your why is kind of fulfilling your own expectations as a kid. So you need people to respond the way that you would have responded had you got that thing. And often people do not respond the way that we expect them to. They just don't. So that's okay. If you recognize and realize the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't have much as a kid. And then you know what's really cool to do is to say it. It's uncomfortable to say it, but it's really freeing. So for example, if your why is, I've put a lot of work into this, and I'd really like for people to acknowledge how beautiful something is, or how delicious something tastes, or how amazing the tree looks, whatever the thing is. If you tell people, I've done this because I love you and I'd really like you to be excited about it, then they know the expectation. We would all love for everybody to spontaneously and exactly understand and know what we need. That's not typically how life happens. We have an expectation on the inside, and then we get disappointed because people don't live up to that expectation, but they don't even know. They don't know what they're expected to do. Could you imagine taking a test, being in a math class, and then having a botany quiz? Like, just because the teacher was thinking about botany the whole time doesn't mean that you knew that. Doesn't mean that you understood it or that you felt it. So if we allow people to understand why we're doing things, if we vocalize it, if we voice our why, oh man, can things change. Things can change so big because they then know what is expected of them. How many of you on the other hand, have been in a, I don't know, we'll say math class again, where the teacher walks through the quiz or the test the week or the day before? This is what the questions look like. This is the answers I expect. If you show me how you solve them with at least 5 steps, even if the answer's wrong, I'll understand why you did it and you'll still get partial credit or whatever. Versus, here's a botany quiz in a math class. Right? So, if you have listened all the way through, congratulations, you are now very uncomfortable. Reflect on your why. Be honest with yourself about your why. And then share your why with the people that matter. If for your children, you're creating a Christmas that you wish you could have had, tell them. Let them know. Man, I've worked so hard because I didn't have this kind of Christmas, and I'm super excited to give you this kind of Christmas. And it's really helpful if you act excited too. They know the expectation. There's not a, well, nobody reacted the way I thought, Everything I did was in vain. Now I don't even care, and I'm unhappy and frustrated. Nobody even knew. So give yourself grace by speaking. And not in an after the fact manner. Let's just throw that caveat out there right now. Ladies and gentlemen, right? Well, after everything's said and done, and you're in a bad mood, and someone says, what's wrong? Well, I put all this work into it. I would have thought you would have appreciated it. The response often is, well, I did. But the person who put the work in didn't see it, didn't hear it, didn't feel it. That can all be avoided by saying, hey, I'm putting a lot of work into this. I've been planning for months. I've been cooking for weeks. I've been cleaning for days. I've rearranged everything. Please let me know if it's worth it. Recently, we had a conversation with our children. We used to, recently, I don't know, in the past few years, it seemed like Christmas should be a whole bunch of presents under the tree. Like that seemed like the right thing. But then I started noticing that people's Christmas presents would be left in boxes on top of their dressers for nearly the rest of the year. And I was like, okay, let's all have a conversation. Because I thought what they wanted was a whole bunch of presents. And they were gracious receivers. But then they had all these presents that it was fun to open, but after that it was like, I don't really need it. I really want it. So recently I said, hey, would you like a whole bunch of like small presents, or would you like one or two things that you really, really want? And or an experience. Every single one of them said, 1 to 2 things that I want, and or a massive experience. I don't need to open up a million presents. And so immediately everyone's expectation was able to be met. Now that didn't mean that suddenly we had all the money in the world and everybody got 2 brand new cars for Christmas, plus a 18-week vacation in Greece. Like, that's not what it meant. But what it meant was I knew their expectation, they knew mine. So when there weren't very many presents under the tree, nobody felt bad. Everybody understood this is what I wanted. And then if they realized, shoot, I don't like seeing 2 presents, I'd actually prefer to open a whole bunch of stuff, then I think one year Cora got Colby some sodas and wrapped them each individually. So, it was like we're able to work with it. But if nobody knows what you're expecting, if you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing, it's not gonna work out very well. And if you think, oh man, I'm always just fine, I want you to be honest with yourself and think about if you really are just fine. Think about how you were last Christmas or last Thanksgiving, or how you're feeling right now. Are you feeling fulfilled just knowing people will be at your house? Or are you feeling anxious and stressed out because what the heck, everybody's gonna come over and the paint on my walls doesn't look very good. I can see this stain on my carpet. Everybody's gonna notice this and this and this. Do I have the perfect outfit? Is my floor grout so clean that people could lick it? What are we doing to ourselves? Figure out what your why truly is. And if your why is to show off a perfectly clean house, that's fine. Then that is your why. That is what you stress about. And you can talk about it. Hey, maybe just tell your husband, maybe just tell your wife, maybe just tell your partner, your children, your whoever, maybe your friend who isn't coming for Thanksgiving, but you can FaceTime and be like, look how clean my house is. So you can chat about how amazing your house looks. So you can get fulfilled, so that why can be met. It isn't bad to have a why at all. It doesn't really even matter what your why is, as long as you know what it is and you understand the reason that you're doing things. So I challenge you today to get uncomfortable, man. Get uncomfortable. Look deeper for your why and ask a lot of questions. Why am I doing this? Maybe out loud. And then ask, well, why? If you get 5 questions why, you're gonna start really uncovering and unpacking some big, big things. And sometimes trauma will come up. And sometimes you'll giggle. And sometimes you'll get mad. And sometimes you'll feel weird. There are a lot of things that can happen when you truly get in touch with why you're doing what you're doing. So I challenge you again, over and over I challenge you. I like to challenge people. I told you I like to be uncomfortable. I don't know why, it's weird. I do know why. Here's the why. Because I know that it means change is coming. I do. I often talk about the Super Mario Brothers video game. When you beat a boss, when you beat a level, you go, like, you just kind of figured out how to do all the levels, right? You beat a boss and you go into a new level. The worst one for me is the swimming one. Like, oh my gosh, I'll redo the level ahead of time 1,000 times. I hate the swimming level so bad. I feel like I have to hold my breath and like I'm swimming and it's just don't like it at all. So I always think about that. Just because you beat a boss and you come into that level, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this is so uncomfortable. And that means change is coming. You're getting stronger. The only way to change your muscles is to break them down. Yeah. So look deep inside. Find your why. Do it to it. If you know somebody who could benefit from this, and if that someone is you, rad, do it. It's really easy to think about somebody else. If this whole time you've been thinking about somebody else, watch, rewatch, re-listen to this. Yeah, and get uncomfortable, look inside of you. We all know how to fix everybody else. Get inside, look inside of you. Find your why, figure out why you do what you do, and embrace it, own it. Remember, you're stronger than you think. And remember, I'm walking with you on this journey, through this process. Have the very best day. Love you, bye.